The forest was cold and quiet. The only thing that the princess could hear were her very own footsteps, and the big purple cloak she had brought along wasn't keeping her warm enough. However, she decided to carry on going in search for a monster to capture. I'll show them, she whispered to herself as she cleared her way through the long green vines, climbed over and under the forest branches, stomped her way along the swampy pond, and held her head high through the flowing river. Trying to find monsters is hard work, the princess sighed, but she noticed that it was nearly morning time and wanted to enjoy watching the sunrise come up. I think I'll take a short break and enjoy some bread whilst I wait. And so the princess decided to sit down on a nearby tree stump, remove her purple cloak and her pouch, and take out a nice chunk of bread for her to eat. However, this meant that it was also morning time for the animals of the forest, and they could smell the princess's bread. As the princess happily sat eating and watching the sunrise, 2 black ravens landed on the tree above her, gazing down at her bread. Then, suddenly, another 3 ravens joined, but this time caught the attention of the princess. Shoo! Go away! This is my bread! Go away! This only drew more attention towards the princess, and before she knew it, there were swarms of black ravens flying in, all trying to grab the princess's bread. They dived in from above the treetops, peck, 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 swooped in from the branches, peck, peck, peck. Dozens of ravens all trying to grab a bite, until suddenly one of the ravens pecked her leg. Ouch! It was all too overwhelming for her, and as she held the bread protected into her tummy, she curled herself up into a ball, closed her eyes, and hoped that they would just all fly away. But then there was another noise, a rustling in the bushes that began to grow louder and louder, and then, boom! All of the ravens just jumped up in a panic, all bumping into each other, all flying over one another, desperately trying to get to the treetops as quick as possible. The princess laid there in silence, unsure whether it was safe or not for her to open her eyes, or to even move. She could hear the crunching of leaves, as if something was making its way towards her. Crunch, crunch, crunch. The princess didn't move a muscle. She knew any sudden movements could be dangerous. Crunch, crunch, crunch. A beastly stench grew stronger as the princess breathed through her nose. Whatever was coming towards her was very close now. Crunch, crunch, crunch. There was a long pause. And unexpected to the princess, she began to feel some licking sensation on where the raven had pecked her. This beast didn't want to hurt her, it wanted to help her. And so, as the sun finally began to rise, the princess opened her eyes, and still trying to be very still, she slowly moved her head so she could get a glimpse of her mystery helper. But she couldn't quite believe what her eyes were seeing. It was a small, gentle creature with a face and tail that resembled that of a fox or a cat, but of a body that was chimp-like, all covered in a patchy black and yellow fur. The princess didn't know what to make of this moment. All her life she had dreamt of the day she would come face to face with a real-life monster, and now that it was here, the last thing she wanted to do was to hurt it or to capture it. Well, it definitely looks like a monster, but it's not shape-shifting or frightening like the bargheists. It's not trying to eat me like a Grendel ogre, and it doesn't look anything like a dwarf or an elf. Maybe this monster is a nice monster. The creature made itself comfortable as it lay beside the princess. It seemed as if they both enjoyed one another's company, like they both felt protected when with each other. You know what? I don't need to fight you in order to capture you. Surely it's braver to befriend a monster than it is to slay one. I mean, just imagine if Beowulf brought back back the Grendel as an ally instead of slaying him as an enemy. You could be my pet, my loyal companion, and protect me from other monsters, or maybe even help me befriend them too." The monster was jumping up and down, wagging its tail, rolling on the forest floor. It seemed to share the princess's enthusiasm on the idea. "I think I'll call you Hazlot. Little Hazlot the Brave. Oh, I must get you home straight away. My father's not going to believe this." But after the princess had gathered her pouch, her training sword, and her now ripped purple cloak, she couldn't quite remember which way she came from. She was so wrapped up with the ravens attacking her and finding Hazlot that she'd completely forgotten which way was which.